Okay, good morning, everybody. We could. Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of Cabinet on the 21st of March 2024. I'll take apologies for absence first, please.
Thank you, Leader. I have apologies from Councillor Alison Anthony.
Okay, any other apologies to record? If not, we'll move then to disclosures of personal and prejudicial interest. Are there any for any of the agenda? Okay, I'll take them as I see them. So, Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Personal interest in item 15. My husband is employed at the Glenvivian Art Gallery.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Item 8, local authority governor appointment. I'm a member of the panel and I got dispensation to speak but not vote.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
Yeah, item 12, Townhill School Chair. I'm a governor there.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hopkin.
Yeah, I'd like to declare a personal prejudice interest in item 12, new dining facilities at Townhill School. I'm also a governor at that school, so we'll leave when we get that point.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, item 10 for me, please, Chair. A family member's going through the DFG process now.
Okay, thank you all. Any other declarations before we move on? No. Okay, thank you. Minutes of the previous meetings. They're on pages 1 to 10 of the agenda. I've not had any requests for any amendments, but happy to take them if anybody has any. If not, can we all, I'll move them as a true record of a seconder, please. Yeah, all happy to agree? Thank you very much. Announcements to Leader of the Council. I have no announcements for today. We move then to public question time. I don't see any members of the public present. We've not received any questions in. Okay. Also, there are no councillors present who aren't members of the Cabinet. So nothing for councillor question time today. So we'll move to business rate relief. Item 7. Let me just get the right page. And I'll come to Mr. Smith for this item, please.
Thank you, Leader. You have two recommendations in front of you, which I'll ask you to consider moving in a moment once I've finished speaking. That is to note the national arrangements and national funding arrangements for the relief scheme, which is technically adopted locally in each of the 22 authorities. And then if you're so content to actually adopt the scheme locally to enable me to make arrangements for the distribution of relief. Section 1.1 makes clear that this is a temporary relief measure, albeit I'm rocking up for the 8th year in a row with a temporary scheme. Section 1.3 makes clear that because it is a temporary relief measure, it does have to be adopted each year, and it has to be adopted locally, but have due regard to the national arrangements. It doesn't cut across any of our discretionary rate relief arrangements as referenced in section 1.4. Section 2.1 makes clear what it is directly targeted at in terms of businesses that still continue to suffer some difficulties on the high street, and it is a Welsh Government measure to enable each local authority to distribute relief locally. Section 2.5 must draw your attention to the fact that the relief scheme is less generous than in previous years. Welsh Government have made very clear that they've had to make tough financial decisions, and that has affected the amount of relief offered, but I emphasise it is a discretionary relief at my personal local discretion on behalf of Welsh Government. There could have, of course, been no relief, so I am aware that there has been some discussion over the values of those reliefs. The scheme is a little bit more complex this year in terms of some of the eligibility criteria, and also sets out some that are not considered eligible by the Welsh Government, and I do have to have due regard to that when I come to exercise my unfettered discretion on your behalf. Section 3.1, another modification. We are now back to the realms of everyone who wants it has to apply for it. It is a discretionary relief scheme that people can apply for. It cannot be automatically made any longer. So that does mean we have to bill, then seek applications, and we encourage people to apply and then give relief where we are able to do so. The bottom line is set out in section 7.1. This is the thick end of giving away £9 million worth of relief for the coming year, which will be administered by Swansea, funded locally by Swansea, but is heavily dependent on Welsh Government funding, and we are likely to get about the same amount back. Every year I always give you advice that there may be some risks at the margin to that estimate, but I always think it is worthwhile doing to maximise the amount of discretion that we can give. And for the avoidance of doubt, I will continue to use as much discretion as I am able to give as much relief to anyone that I am able to consider eligible for the relief. That's all I need to advise you, Cabinet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith, and thank you for the clarity of the advice there. I'm happy to move the report. Look for a seconder, please. Councillor Francis Davis, did you wish to comment as well?
Yes, I welcome this this item. I think that the retail, leisure, hospitality rate relief is something that has been helping not just Swansea but city town centres and the hospitality industry ever since COVID. They've really suffered and suffered greatly. This is a lesser amount than previous years, but still very much welcomed. And I hope that this will be picked up by the media to encourage people who are able to match the criteria put forward to apply for this. It's up to 40%, no more than £110,000 for any single business. But it all helps, and it all helps make sure that these businesses are sustainable in our region. So really welcome it, and thank Ben Smith for bringing it to our attention today, and yourself, Leader.
Yes, thank you, Leader. It's given me great pleasure to move the report and thank the 8 individuals that have been nominated, and look forward to working with them.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. This report sets out the performance of the third quarter of the year to meeting the Council's priorities as described in the corporate plan. Paragraph 2.1 and 2.2 on page 43 of the report explains the new format which was introduced in quarter two. This report always brings together the progress and steps of the corporate plan and success measures, and also brings in the corporate risk as well. I think that the new layout, particularly with the narrative that's given by the Chief Executive and Director of Services, is very helpful at the preamble of each section, so I welcome that. The charts in 2.3 of the report are the summary of performance, which shows the vast majority of the items are back on track, are on track, and 75% are hitting green, so welcome the good progress made there. Paragraph 2.3.1 on page 45 highlights some key areas of achievement in quarter three, and performance. Paragraph 2.2 on page 45 shows some areas of further improvement needed. There are some areas that continue to be of some concern. That numbers required in residential, number of children required in residential care placements. I think this is a national trend, particularly with there is some serious concerns about lack of foster placements. And I know that Councillor Louise Gibbard is working very hard with the director to try to mitigate some of that. The construction sector continues to remain a challenging environment and risk of delivery of cost of major capital projects. And I know that the number of temporary accommodation continues to grow. And I know working very closely with Councillor Andrea Lewis to try to mitigate some of the risks that carries there. Overall, I think the report is set out on page 42, and I think there are the recommendations there are, I would say, quite encouraging, but areas of concern. So just happy to move the report.
Thank you, Councillor Hopkins. Very happy to second. Are there any Cabinet members who wish to add to what Councillor Hopkins has said in terms of performance? Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, thank you, Leader, and thank you to Councillor Hopkins for bringing the report today. As he referenced, we are seeing an increase in numbers of people being placed in emergency and temporary accommodation. Just to give some slight reassurance to Cabinet today that this is a UK-wide issue as opposed to a Swansea issue, and every council is seeing an increase in these numbers of people presenting as homeless. I'm not sure where these numbers are going to stop. because they keep going up and up every month. And so I wanted to pay tribute to the frontline staff, particularly, who are dealing with applications on a daily basis and doing a fantastic job in very difficult and very stressful times.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thanks, Leader, and thanks, Councillor Hopkins, for bringing the report. There's a number of positive areas around transforming economy and infrastructure, and if you look at page 23 of the appendix, it shows us delivering on many of our commitments, in particular our extremely popular Parks and Play investment. As you're aware, we've done over 50 areas in the city that have benefited from £7 million worth of play area renewal project. And the latest outstanding project was officially opened by yourself, Leader, at the Phoenix Centre just last week. So I think this has truly been an outstanding and transformational change to our play areas across the county. And I want to thank yourself, Councillor Francis Davis, and all involved. And I'm proud that our administration has the opportunity to put so much investment into our parks and play areas, offering a free place to go, making a difference for many young families, especially during the cost of living crisis. So thank you, Leader. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stevens. Absolutely agree with your comments. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. And I think it's on page 10 of the report. I'd echo the comments of the Director there in terms of the work that's gone on within the Directorate to develop and enhance our school estate, and in particular facilities for the additional learning needs and the STF facilities, but also pay tribute to all staff across our school estate, the school system in Swansea. We know the challenges they face. We know that the challenges are increasing rather than diminishing. And I think the way we are supporting them is assisting, but they are facing huge challenges at the moment. And I think it's a matter of ensuring that that support continues to be put in so that we prioritise the frontline, Leader.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Francis Davis.
Yeah, some of the items on here, on the well-being objectives, things that perhaps not every day that we think are extremely important, but I think are extremely important to the people that we serve in our city and our region. And that's events, things like the Ironman, which came to Swansea. Some people were a bit critical of the Ironman, saying streets had to be blocked, and yet it's been voted the best in Europe. In such a short time that we've been having this, a real accolade. And things like the Christmas parade, where, 35,000 people turned up in our city centre, literally put the smile on the children's faces. And, they are looked forward to by the public year in, year out. Spooks in the City brought extra footfall into our city and helping that retail and hospitality sectors that I mentioned in an earlier subject. The Wales National Air Show. The air show is spectacular. 250,000 people coming around the bay over 2 days. And again, we're lucky that for next, the next air show, the Red Arrows are coming back and the Typhoon, etc. But also the jobs that are being created by the Shared Prosperity Fund. And I'd like, put my thanks out to the team in economic regeneration and people like Paul Ralph and his team, who are really dedicated in making sure that the money comes in and gets out into it, and actually administering it for the entire region. And those jobs that will be created from this through the Shared Prosperity Fund could be hundreds, if not thousands, of jobs created. So I think a tap on the back to those. And our contribution to heritage, places like the Albert Hall, the Palace Theatre, to name just a few. We are now looked upon, I think, in the United Kingdom as an exemplar in how to look after our heritage. It is, anybody goes on the media and, social media, you see that historical sites are very important to the public. that to see these buildings kept for future generations is extremely important. So well done to our officers who have worked tirelessly to ensure that these buildings are preserved for the future. But not only preserved, places like the Albert Hall will see hundreds of jobs in the tech industries going into them once they are finished. So a really good use for it after. Those are just a couple I'd like to highlight there. That's all, Leader.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Francis Davis. Councillor Gibbard.
Yeah, just briefly, just to reiterate that there's been no let up in the challenges that are being faced by both adult and child and family services, but to put on record my thanks to the teams who are making extraordinary efforts to do what's right for families across Swansea. And as Councillor Hopkins referred to, we do have a particular challenge in finding suitable placements for a number of children and young people, but we've got a really good strategy in place, dedicated to growing our number of in-house foster carers, and that's really starting to bear some fruit. So if anyone's watching this online and thinks that they'd like to be a foster carer in the future, please get in touch with the teams, because it's a really rewarding and really important role. Thanks.
I absolutely agree, Councillor Gibbard, and hopefully people will come forward. In terms of my comments, I just wanted to reference the fact that, obviously, if you look at page 43 there, you'll see that the plan is largely on track, over 76% in green status, which is really good to see. That is a reflection of the work that's going on by the teams that the cabinet members have mentioned today, and I want to place on record my thanks to our teams throughout the council who are continuing to perform and deliver for the people of Swansea, and to the cabinet for their work in ensuring that we deliver on our political and corporate commitments alongside our corporate management team colleagues. So thank you to all for that, because it is important that we reflect on the fact that this continues to be strong delivery from Swansea Council and its workforce, despite the financial challenges that we're all facing across many departments at this time. So many thanks from me for the continued work on that. So the report has been moved and seconded. Can I ask all those in favour to show, please? Physical voting only, please. Thanks very much. That is carried. We'll move then to item 10, which is Disability Facilities and Improvement Grant Programme for the coming year. Councillor Lewis, please.
Thank you, Leader. And just to say at the outset, I'm really proud that this administration continues to invest in disabled facilities and repair grants in terms of enabling people to live independently in their own homes for longer, which obviously has a positive impact on social services as well, and is better for the individuals and the families involved. There is an addition this year, I'm pleased to say, with the Housing with Care Fund. So on the 26th of October last year, Welsh Government officers confirmed that the Minister for Climate Change approved flexibility for RPBs, the regional partnership boards, so that they could spend 5% of their nominal allocation on disabled facility grants. And what that has meant for us is shown and highlighted in Table 1 on page 107. So there is this year 232,920 and the same allocation for next year as well, which is very much welcomed. To draw attention to Table 1, we've invested general fund allocation of 4.3 million in disabled facilities and the fast track adaptations, and members will remember the fast track adaptations now no longer require a means test, which has had an impact on the amount of people applying for these grants, which is something that we will continue to look at. But again, an incredible amount of investment there. The tenant adaptations, as in the council adaptations, 2,750,000 is funded by the housing revenue account and is not covered by the general fund. The 500,000 home fix loans are loans which enable people, particularly people who have difficulty accessing loans from banks, as an example, and are on the relevant benefits, to access loans from a minimum of 3,000 up to 25,000 to repair their homes. And then that is only repaid on sale of that property. So they can use the equity in their property And it's a really good scheme to enable people to carry out repairs that they might not otherwise be able to afford. The Care and Repair Mini Adaptation Grant, 370,000. I'm pleased to say that we support Care and Repair to carry out small things like small ramps, handrails, but actually make a big difference to people, even though they are small works. And the Comfort, Safety and Security Grant of 30,000 with Care and Repair. So all in all, this investment equates to just shy of £8 million. So something that I think we as an administration should be extremely proud of. The recommendations are seen and moved by myself on page 102, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Yes, absolutely agree and very happy to second the report. Are there any questions or comments for the Cabinet Member? If not, the recommendations have been moved on page 102. Are we all happy to agree? Thank you very much. That is carried.
I'm just bringing Councillor Stevens back in. Forgive me one
we'll
moment.
pause for 1 second. Okay, thank you. Councillor Stevens, I'll come to you next then for item 11, which is the capital allocation to highways infrastructure 24-25.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Leader. I'm pleased to present this report to Cabinet. The report confirms the capital allocation to highways infrastructure, so the total amount of investment into our highways over the next year will be £6.5 million. In 2024 alone, we've already completed several key routes, including Pentraporth Road, Gorwith Road, and Junction 47, and plans are in place for upgrades shortly at Ysgubavach Road in Wynwen and St Peter's Road, Newton. I'd like to bring particular attention to paragraph 4, which references our 5-year rolling programme of carriageway works 2020-25. Currently, the programme is ahead of schedule and we are due to complete soon. There's a website link in the report for residents and councillors to check the current progress of our projects, as well as access helpful information on a wide range of highway schemes. So the report also outlines the culverts and drainage, and these are very prominent issues at the moment, which is why we've included 400,000 for drainage to prevent flooding during heavy rain, which is becoming more commonplace with climate change. I will also draw attention to paragraph 4.2, which references our extremely popular small resurfacing programme. This has been ongoing for several years and proved very successful in targeting mid-sized structural carriageway repairs. So our highways team visit every ward in Swansea in collaboration with the ward councillors to identify and address the worst section of roads, and a total of 1.2 million is set aside to deal with the direct community concerns via members. So overall, the report is I see the report as welcome investment into our highways infrastructure, but we do need to understand that there is still considerable pressures to deal with the backlogs of maintenance, and as well as further impacts due to changing weather patterns and also inflation. I do want to put on record my thanks to Bob Fenwick, Chair, for pulling together the report, as well as our entire highways team for the outstanding work that they do across the city every day. So I have nothing further to add to the report, and I'm happy to move, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Stevens. And again, I agree, and also would like to place on record my thanks to the team, specifically Bob, for the work that's been done, and to yourself for the overseeing the programme. And just to place on record as well, whilst this is a significant investment in our highways, it still falls short of what we would like to do, were money to be made available by UK government to the Welsh Government for capital works in councils across the country. People will have seen the report on BBC in recent days showing that the roads position across the UK is the worst it's been for 8 years. And again, we are keen to address that and see more of the money that taxpayers pay through their fuel duty and through their road tax coming to local councils so we can do the job. It's money that should really flow out of UK government to local councils to help us to do the work we want to do. But in lieu of that, we remain committed to do that. And of course, when we know what our outturn position is later this year in May, I know yourself and I have already had discussions with Mr. Smith around potential for adding to this programme should resources allow, but we won't know that until later in the year. But the ambition remains there to do that should we be in a position to invest locally more funds. So I'm very happy to second this report, and I will open it up if anybody had any questions or comments for Councillor Stevens. Councillor Robert Francis Davis.
Just comments really. Again, I mentioned social media earlier, and the social media, everybody is complaining about potholes and the problems with potholes in Swansea. But it's not a Swansea problem. This is a national problem, and that it's about time that central government woke up and actually delivered the finances throughout the United Kingdom to ensure that our roads are safe to drive on. There's a considerable amount of money paid by people in their vehicle excise license and road tax to ensure that that money should be spent on maintaining. The amount of people I talk to, people have had flat tires, they're buckling their wheels, damaging their suspensions, is astronomical. But I know that the staff that we got do an excellent job. The time in responding up to just 48 hours when it's been reported online in filling out potholes. And that I know that the efforts you put into with Councillor Andrew Stevens to ensure that as much money we can is put into our highways. But you are right, Leader, it's still not enough. We do our best and to try and get our priorities across all the services that we deliver. It's still not enough, but the people that we have in our highways department are out there every day doing their best to try and do what they can to keep Swansea's roads and the traffic on them moving. So I'd like to congratulate them and look forward to the day that the government actually allocates the right amount of money so that we can have a service that everybody, deserves.
Thank you, Councillor Francis Davis. Any other comments? If not, the report has been moved and seconded. Go to the vote, please. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That is carried. We'll move then to agenda item 12. I'll just give 2 minutes for Councillors Anderson and Hopkins to leave the room due to their interests. Okay, and I'll go to Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Leader, and it does give me great pleasure to move this report, which delivers over £3.2 million worth of investment in Townhill Community Primary School. It represents investment by this authority in conjunction with Welsh Government and will provide greatly enhanced facilities for that school as part of the Universal School Meals programme. But I think it does provide and is an opportunity to provide much needed improvements to the dining facilities at Townhill. I visited the site, I've seen the current building, and I think it's fair to say that that building has served its purpose and has come to the end of its life, and this is an opportunity now to provide new facilities, state-of-the-art facilities, I hope, combined with the investment in community facilities and the all-weather pitch. So I think this is a success for us as a local authority. Despite the financial climate in which we operate, we are still able to deliver schemes like this because the political commitment is certainly there to do it, and it gives me great pleasure to move the report, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Smith. I fully agree with your comments, and I think our commitment is 100% to this. But I think we should also recognise the overall scheme introduced by the Welsh Government. I think providing free school meals on a universal basis to children who would otherwise go hungry, may not have breakfast, may not have the nutritional support at home, so that they can learn appropriately in school and be the best that they can be. I think these are one of the schemes that no doubt, whether there be a change of administration in Cardiff, would be at risk. So again, I think it's one of the things that the Welsh Government should be absolutely applauded for doing, because as you've alluded to, it's not just the investment in the buildings, it's what it then allows us to do in terms of supporting children and feed them preschool meals to all that require them. So thank you very much for this, Councillor, and thank you for the work that you and officers have done to bring this scheme together to enable us to make this investment. Very happy to second the report. Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Smith? No. Okay. With that, then I ask if for all those in favour, if you can show, please, physical voting only, please. Thank you very much. So that is carried. So we'll just wait a second for Councillors Anderson and Hopkins to return. Okay, thank you. So we'll now move to item 13, which is the possible sale of LDP housing land at Strategic Development Area SD, Wallaloed and Forest Fach. Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. The report set out before us looks to give delegate authority to myself, Head of Finance, Chief Legal Officer and Head of Property within the city to enter into negotiation to get into to work with possibly of two developers or one developer, whatever the negotiation gets to. What we intend to do with this report, obviously, is to look to get best value. We will probably exceed the £1 million threshold, so this report looks to get to for that delegated position, and with the assurance that we will get best value for this site. The site itself, I don't know whether everybody's familiar with the area, but it's probably known as Keeper's Lodge Farm, which is between the Alcoa site, going up to Forest Fach. It's quite a large area there. If this should go ahead, there is the possibility for about 700 plus houses. In total, our land is about 83 acres, which, you know, considerable amount of land. There are some difficulties associated with the land. So what we're in at the moment is getting into an agreement where we work with the developers. There is risk, so what we will be looking at is then start negotiating on the planning grounds as well. So I'm quite happy to move the report before us today and obviously bring something back at a later stage.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hopkins. I'm very happy to second this report. I'll open it up if anybody's got any questions or comments for the Cabinet member. Councillor Francis Davis.
Yeah, the only comments are I hope that that we can get best value for the authority and come to an agreement with any developer there for 700 to 800 houses in that area are much needed. We need to get on with house building. It's good for employment, but mainly it's there's lots of people in Swansea who are desperate to get new houses, and the sooner we can get them built, the better.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments or questions? If not, it's been moved and seconded. The recommendations there on page 134. All those in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That is carried. So we'll move now to item 14, which is the accessibility strategy for schools. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Leader. And again, it gives me great pleasure to move this report. I think it's going to enable us to go out to consultation on the draft accessibility strategy. And if you turn to paragraph 2.1, I think that does summarise what we're attempting to do here as far as I'm concerned. We as an authority have adopted the social model of disability, and I'll quote it there, recognises that it is society that creates attitudinal and physical barriers which disable people rather than their physical or mental impairments. And I think this report sets out the principles to which we are adhering, propose to adhere, and also the actions that will require. And they are significant changes that perhaps can't be addressed overnight. but they certainly will set the direction and the policy framework which we will need to operate moving forward. I think it is a step forward for us as an authority. The strategy has been co-constructed with the community, and I think that again is something which we need to be proud of, and I'm very happy to move this report, and I look forward to the next steps, Leader.
Many thanks, Councillor Smith. I fully agree with your comments and very happy to second. I'll open it up for any comments or questions. If not, again, the recommendations have been moved and seconded on page 144. Could I ask you all to show if you're in favour, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. We'll move then to item 15, which is the external grants approval for the Glynvivian Art Gallery. Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. I'm very pleased to bring this report to Cabinet, which represents a significant grant investment into the Glynvivian Art Gallery. This is really composed of two elements. The first is around the Welsh Government's plan to develop a network of galleries across Wales as part of their National Contemporary Art Gallery for Wales dispersed sites model, and the Glynvivian was chosen as one of 9 sites across Wales to be part of this model. And at the heart of this project is sharing of national collections held across Wales to enable further displaying and exhibition of that art. So the grant has 2 elements. There's a capital element to upgrade the gallery's infrastructure, such as environmental controls and security. And there's also a revenue element, which is around expanding the learning and outreach programs to make more connections within the communities that we serve. The second aspect to the grant is the Imperial War Museum grant of around £250,000. And this is a major new project which will be in partnership with the Imperial War Museum and award-winning artist Heather Phillipson to bring a commissioned work to the Glynvivian as part of that exhibition, but also again including elements of outreach and partnership to bring more of that national collection from the Imperial War Museum down to Swansea. So it does represent a very significant investment, and I think demonstrates the status with which the gallery is held within Wales and across the UK as a significant gallery and being able to house these exhibitions. The report is asking for retrospective approval, and the reason for that was, as often is the case with these grants, there's very, very short turnaround to get the applications in and approved, and so for that reason there's retrospective approval. So very happy to move the report.
Thank you, Councillor King, and very happy to second the report and absolutely understand the rationale for retrospective approval being sought. But again, the grants that have been made available are ones that we should certainly seek to secure. And again, thanks all that have made efforts to ensure that that is the case. I'll open it up now for comments and questions. Councillor Francis Davis.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Councillor King and Head of Culture Tracy McNulty in actually working to get this grant for what is a wonderful art gallery that we're fortunate to have in the city and county of Swansea. I think many times people walk past and perhaps don't go in it enough, but it is a wonderful resource, free of charge to go in. And it's also very welcoming when people do go in there. This will bring other exhibitions and to the Glynvivian Art Gallery. And I hope it gets, again, the publicity it deserves to get all the people of Swansea getting into the Glynvivian Gallery. It is a real gem in Swansea, and well done, Councillor King.
Absolutely. Okay, are there any other comments or questions? If not, again, go to the vote, please. If you're in favour, please show. Thank you very much. That is carried. So we'll move now to our final item. Councillor Francis Davis.
Oh, well, on that item, I have to declare an interest of personal and prejudicial as a director of that facility.
My interest is the same.
Okay, thank you. I'll give you 2 minutes for both of you to leave. Okay, this item, which seeks to extend the arrangements around the Wales National Pool. The Wales National Pool was originally established back in 1999 under a 24-year lease, which expired on the 31st of December 2023, but we took action at the time to extend that to the 31st of March 2024. The report before you now seeks to put in place a further extension for a period of 2 years, and that is to allow a new management arrangement to be put in place, a new model to be put in place for the national pool. If Councillor Francis Davis were here, I'm sure he'd be alluding to the benefits of the national pool that we've seen over the last 25 years in terms of the sport in excellence it's helped athletes achieve in terms of its facility. The costs of the extension are likely to be paid annually between the partners, and they'll be continue on the current basis of around 550,000 per year. The importance of this is not only just to secure the future of the national pool, which were we not to extend and were we not to continue to support, would obviously close. That is not something that anybody is prepared to consider. So new arrangements have to be put in place, but new arrangements that allow the pool to be part of our ambitions that are shared with the university around creating not just a centre of sporting excellence, but an internationally renowned sports science park. New facilities are already being created around the national pool at the present time, new all-weather pitches, running tracks and facilities. And again, over the coming months, we'll be able to bring forward further details of potentially what that international sports park will begin to look like. And of course, that could also help secure the future of some of our sporting clubs in the city who excel at rugby, cricket and other sports. And I know there is a lot of interest nationally in that. So all of this is connected, but today it's a specific decision on the support to extend the funding to allow new arrangements to be in place for the national pool to give it a secure future long term. The recommendations are there on page 244, and I would happily move the report and look for a seconder, please.
Happy to second.
Okay, are there any comments or questions on the report? If not, could I ask you all if you can show if you're in favour, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. And with that, thank you all very much for your attendance. I declare the meeting closed.